Happy to have you back, Max.
Oh,
Happy to have you back, brother.
Thank you. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Here is Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy on what happened at the end of the game. There were all kinds of clock management issues, and Zuerlein, the kicker, bailed him out when he hit the field goal. But what happened at the end of that game, Coach?
The crew in the box, we were anticipating them calling a timeout there. But then one of our guys went outside the numbers. And so at that point, we got to this 17-second threshold. And then that's when I've just never seen that happen. The clock that I was looking at went out, and then Kellen was blocked by the clock he said he was looking at. Next thing you know, there's 9 seconds left. But we got it done.
All right, Key, what do you think about first of all, it's bizarre, right? A head coach, I haven't heard of this before. Head coach, the clock goes out. The clock he's looking at, it goes out. So he's relying on his OC, whose vision is blocked on another clock by a camera guy. And then there's an extra dude on the field. And so they wind up kicking a 56-yard field goal. By the way, a kicker who missed 3 kicks week 1, right? And it's good. But what have you ever seen something like that before, Key? What's your take on it?
I haven't seen I've seen things like extra players on the field. I've seen bad clock management, but not collectively in one game together on one particular down or play. They made the field goal, man. What's the problem? Like, at the end of the day,
because if they hadn't?
Because they're the Cowboys.
As I always like to say, if both my parents was white, I'd be white. But guess what? Mm-hmm. I'm black because they was black. Mm-hmm. So it is what it is. They made the damn field goal. So why are we trying to pick it apart? Bad clock management. The man just explained to us that his assistant coach vision was blocked, so he couldn't tell exactly what the clock said. His clock went completely out, so he didn't know, and they had an extra person on the field. So the extra person on the field, whoever is the substitution guy, that responsibility falls on him. Doesn't fall on the head coach. Jay, falls on his assistant coach who handles personnel.
I mean, that makes sense to me, right? Mm-hmm. But what I always go back to is I don't see this happening, or maybe I just don't remember seeing it happening with the Patriots. I always go back to, like, Belichick. Why is it that never seems to happen to him, but it happens to other coaches? Well, that's, it's just bad luck. I don't know. Luck is the residue of design. Is this a commentary on McCarthy to you?
Belichick is the bad example.
I think it happens. The interesting aspect, yes, they won the game. For me, though, is, when you revisit moments like that, it reminds me as a player, right? As a player for Coach K at times in my life, where we would win the game by 20 or 30, but you go back and you watch tape, and I get hit by a screen, and I know the screen is coming. Coach is like, why are you getting hit by the screen? Like, whoa, what happened was, and he hooked me or he got me. It's like, I feel like sometimes when you start hearing excuses about something, even though they're giving you practical reasoning behind it, you're like, why are you telling me excuses?
What would Coach K tell you?
Just say, hey, we had poor game management. There are a series of things that happened. We had poor game management down the block, or just own the fact that you didn't get over the screen, or own the fact that you died on the screen. Just get over the damn screen. So it's something small, Key. I hear what you're saying. They won the game. But we know we're going to take everything small that happens with the Dallas Cowboys and blow it out of proportion. They're the Cowboys.
And Key, why is it a bad example, Belichick? I'm curious.
Well, the reason it's a bad example is because Belichick didn't get all the calls. That's
so
if Tom Brady turned around and looked at the ref, are you okay, Tom? Throw the flag. I mean, it's just no matter what.
That's a product of success.
Yes, that is correct.
So do you trust Mike McCarthy as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? What is there not to trust? I mean, he's gotten them turned around. They should have possibly beat the Super Bowl champions at their home on Thursday night 2 weeks ago, and they went to Los Angeles shorthanded and took care of business against the Chargers that we all think is going to be contending in the AFC West with a young quarterback in Herbert, and they won the damn game.
Yeah, I mean, they were in 2 games.
They made the adjustment from, like I said a week ago, in order for them to win the game, the running game has to come alive. They went into San Diego, or L.A. better yet, and ran the ball with Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard. Zeke had 16 carries for 70-some yards. Pollard had for 100+. You combine that, they had 200 yards on the ground rushing. Why wouldn't you trust?
What does trust mean, Max?
Well,
like
they've
trust to win a Super Bowl or trust to get the Dallas Cowboys to their pinnacle talent-wise?
They've had 2 games against 2 good teams, and they were competitive in both, and they're
both.
1-1.
In both.
Do you trust them to make a Super Bowl run this year? Could they win playoff games?
In other words, here's what I would say. Are they going to win the division? Yes. So once you win the division, you're now going to make a run to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So let's start with winning the division. They're going to win this division. They're going to win the division.
All right.
Dallas Cowboys, mark it down. I said it. They're going to win the division. And once they get into the playoffs, all bets are off for everybody.
That's Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. By the way, you can find out where the Cowboys rank in Key's Real Rankings at 7:30. And we're asking at KJM Max on Twitter which 2-0 team is overhyped and which 2-0 team is underrated. Be a part of KJM Nation on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed or call-in line, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. ESPN Nation is presented by Dr. Pepper. College football is back, so are the fans. Return to glory with Fansville by Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve. All right, what was most Mike McCarthy, by the way, for what it's worth, I don't trust him in this sense. I felt like he was the biggest name they could find that wouldn't push back against Jerry, wouldn't take the spotlight from Jerry. I'm not saying he's not an incompetent coach or anything. He can coach him up and all that stuff. But to me, the hire was flawed because that was the point. Let's bring in a name brand who won't push back.
Let me ask you something. I'm curious to know, when you say push back against Jerry, what do you think that it is that Jerry does?
I think that Jerry wants a guy who in success won't get the credit, and who, if he makes a decision as a GM, or he and his son make a decision as a GM, and the coach may not like it, the coach will go along, and the coach will say what they want to say in the media, or at least not give resistance to it. I think big personalities and big egos.
Jimmy Johnson.
Obviously, Jimmy Johnson, who's still not in the Ring of Honor, by the way, no matter what Jerry says, still not there. It's not a hard thing to do, to get done. Bill Parcells, I don't think those kinds of personalities will last long in Dallas. And so the tip to me, Key, was they started selling him on analytics. Remember when they hired him? Oh, he didn't understand analytics, so the game had passed him by. Now he gets it. That didn't sound right to me. And it's not like people were banging down his door.
I disagree with you on that, Max, because there's this narrative about Jerry Jones and his family about how they operate the Cowboys and getting in the way and all. They don't. And I keep trying to knock people in the head to get them to understand. Stop selling that.
All right, I want to hear.
Because they don't.
Okay, I want to hear all about this.
Getting in the way.
I want to hear all about this.